Trevor the traction engine was feeling depressed. He couldn't breathe properly. "Your boiler needs mending," said his owner, the vicar, "but I can't afford it at present." One morning, the vicarage telephone rang. The vicar answered it and then hurried out to see Trevor. "You may be a bit under the weather, but I think you can manage this," he said. "The farmer has a tree down and wants you to saw it up for him." When Trevor had enough steam, they went to the farm and set to work in a field near the railway, trying to clear the fallen tree. Thomas passed by with Edward's coaches. He whistled cheerfully. Edward liked trucks and had been delighted to let Thomas have his coaches for a while. When Edward passed by later that day, he was carrying trucks with a sort of tent over them. These were specially used for carrying china clay. The men called them hoods. "Why hoods?" Thomas asked Bill and Ben. "The hoods are those things like tents," explained Bill. "They keep the clay dry," added Ben. "Wet clay goes in tankers," he went on. But to Trevor, they were simply just trucks. He was enjoying himself. The only thing he liked better than sawing the logs was giving children rides. He chunted happily while the pile of logs next to him grew. Presently, Edward returned with some empty trucks. As he passed the place where Trevor was working, the line seemed to wobble under him. "Oh, that seems like a loose rail," Edward thought. "We should better tell the maintenance people." At the harbour, Edward exchanged his empty trucks for full ones and set off for the junction again. Meanwhile, Trevor dozed. The wind had dropped and it was comfortable in the autumn sunshine. It seemed like no time at all when he heard Edward coming back. He was watching Edward, so he didn't see one of his trucks, 6 from the end, sink, jump and shutter, just at the place where Edward had felt the weakness in the line that morning. The last 6 trucks and the brake van purged, bumped and stopped. The guard, safe in his van, blew his whistle, but Edward, far in front, didn't hear it and hurried on without realising what had happened. But Trevor was closer to the brake van than Edward. He heard the whistle and looked back to see the trucks laying at strange angles on the track. "Stop, Edward, stop!" he whistled in horror. Edward heard that. "It's Trevor!" he cried anxiously. "What's wrong?" "We'd better stop and see," said his driver. The fireman climbed on the tender. "Phew! It's not Trevor!" he exclaimed. "It's us!" The guard went to protect the train while the fireman went to the farmhouse to call for help. And soon enough, Harvey arrived to clear the line. That evening, the Fat Controller came to see Trevor. "Thank you, Trevor," he said. "I've heard all about your boiler, and because you've saved a nasty situation, you're going to my works to be mended. Would you like that?" "Oh, sir! Thank you, sir! That would be lovely!" And with that, Trevor fell happily asleep. Trevor, mate, wake up. I'm still talking to you. I was going to say, you at least give a deposit for me fixing you or something. Don't just fall asleep in front of me. Oh, you traction engines these days. This is why I don't run a traction engine railway.